Welcome back to episode 38 on the Forest River, North Dakota 4X Mega Farm. We're deep into year 5, and spring fieldwork is in full swing as we continue preparing and planting well over 1,000 acres of crops to feed our brand new mega pig farm. This year is shaping up to be one of our busiest and most important seasons yet. Not only are we expanding our crop rotation, but we're also ramping up production to support thousands of pigs that will soon call our new facility home. In the last episode, we kicked off a brand new operation by renting a pair of Dalton DW Anhydrous toolbars, along with a couple of anhydrous tanks from the Forest River Co-op. We've been using those to cultivate and inject fertilizer into our 300-acre field just across the road from our old farmyard, a field that's slated to become one of our biggest corn fields this season. We managed to get about half of that field applied in the last episode, but we've still got plenty of ground to cover before it's ready for planting. So we'll start off today by finishing up that anhydrous application. Since the last recording, I went ahead and purchased a new anhydrous transport trailer, which is going to make a massive difference for today's workflow. Instead of constantly running back and forth to town to refill our tanks, I'll now be able to haul anhydrous directly to the field, keeping both toolbars running nearly non-stop. It's going to save us a ton of time and keep the operation moving at full speed. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, our John Deere 8, our 410 tractors are busy tackling some tillage work on our 250-acre field. Each 8 is pulling one of our new Landau vertical tillage discs, and these things have been absolutely incredible so far. They're not just cultivating, they're mulching and tilling in one pass, which saves us both time and fuel. That field is already looking great, and once it's finished up, it'll be ready for planting as well. Now, I know we planted corn in that 250-acre field last year, and I normally try to rotate crops to keep things realistic, but this year we need a lot of corn to feed our growing pig operation. Between the 300-acre field across from the old farm and this 250-acre field we're tilling now, that's going to give us a total of 550 acres of corn for year 5. Easily our biggest corn planting yet here on Forest River. Once the anhydrous application is nearly wrapped up, I'll be heading back to the farmyard to get our John Deere DB 120 planters ready to roll. Those planters are absolute monsters with their 120-foot wide frames. And with 2 of them running side by side, they can cover a huge amount of ground in no time. I'll get them hooked up to our John Deere 8RT 410 tractors and sent straight out to the 300-acre field to start planting our first cornfield of the year. It's going to be another packed day here on the Forest River Mega Farm. We've got fertilizer application, tillage, planting, and equipment prep all happening at the same time across multiple fields. By the end of today's episode, we should be well on our way to having over 1,000 acres prepped and planted, setting us up for a huge harvest season and plenty of feed for the pigs later in the year. So buckle up, we've got a ton of work ahead of us and a lot of ground to cover. Let's fire up the engines, get those toolbars in the dirt, and see just how much progress we can make today here on the Forest River, North Dakota Mega Farm. If you're enjoying the Forest River, North Dakota Mega Farm series, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.